We have breaking news that just dropped from Elliotte Friedman highlighting that massive changes are imminent and could come as soon as today or tomorrow. So I'm going to break that down as well as discuss some of the exact changes that could be coming. So stay tuned for that in this episode. But Darius, before we do, we noticed that 80% of the viewers who are watching are not subscribed. If you're a part of the 80% and you enjoy the daily Leafs content, sometimes up to 3 or 4 videos a day, and you want to stay tuned, make sure to hit that button. We're on the road to 9,000. It would mean the world if you could do that. Again, it would mean the world to Darius and I. But we have a lot to get into. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. And wow, this just dropped in the 32 Thoughts podcast. There's a lot to dissect here. He said, I think I have a little bit of a better idea, this is Elliotte Friedman, of why this week is unfolding as it is. You know, the players and Sheldon Keefe had their availability on Monday. I think Wednesday, which is today, is an important day in terms of meeting and planning in the organization. I don't know exactly who's going to be all in, but basically they're going to start to drill down on where things are going to go here over the next while. And I think you have to get over the emotion of the situation. Everyone wanted to wait a couple days, but now it's time to start moving everything forward. One thing I believe is the NHL, Tuesday was a draft lottery day. He basically, I'll read the rest after, he basically goes on to say that yesterday no news had really dropped because it's draft lottery day and there's some other things which we'll get into, but let's just dissect this starting kind of paragraph here now. This is pretty crazy, pretty wild, and quite frankly, this is breaking news as it seems like moves could come any minute now. It is Wednesday. Moves weren't going to happen yesterday. I would suspect tomorrow we might even see Sheldon Keefe let go, but major changes are definitely imminent.
Yeah, major changes are coming, it sounds like. And honestly, the way they have approached this whole thing, now that we have this insight from 32 Thoughts, I think is a good thing. They're approaching everything very objectively. They let everything calm down. They let all the players and the coach have their exit interviews and all that stuff, right? And let the emotions die down over the last couple of days. And of course, they probably would have got together yesterday, right after locker cleanout day. But again, the NHL, it sounds like, didn't want any news to kind of throw off. Let's be honest, if the Leafs put out any type of news, like, it doesn't matter what's happening that day, it's the Leafs day. So the draft lottery did not want to be overshadowed, so they didn't want any news. So the Leafs said, okay, you know what, we'll push our availability back a day to Friday for management. And there's discussions going on as we're recording this. I'm sure they're all in the boardroom discussing everything to a T, making sure that nothing is left unturned, and they have a plan moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing that they're discussing today. What is the definitive plan going forward? Probably going to vote on it, whatever they do, and they'll have something to discuss with us Friday. But I do think something's going to happen tomorrow. If they're firing Sheldon Keefe, which I would say there's a 95% chance at this point Sheldon Keefe is not returning next year, it will happen tomorrow so they can discuss it and possibly bring in a new coach on Friday. Because if they're having this discussion, I'm sure discussions happen throughout the season and they're getting to the point where, okay, are we pulling the trigger or not right now? I'm sure that's happening right now. And the firing, if it does happen, will probably happen tomorrow so they can reintroduce a new coach and all that stuff on Friday and kind of let the dust settle over the weekend. So pretty shocking stuff from Friedman here. I mean, there is going to be some movement and it's going to happen probably tomorrow. Big Friedman bomb this morning.
Yeah, very big. And I didn't even know 32 Thoughts podcast was dropping today. And then we got all this, and there's just so much to discuss. And I'll get into some of the other quotes he said here now. This is, I kind of continue from before. Basically, Tuesday was a draft lottery day. Didn't want to interfere with the Celebrini celebration. Congratulations to the Sharks for that. But he basically said that Sheldon Keefe was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame on Tuesday as well. And he thinks Wednesday is going to be the day where they really start to meet and go over what's coming. And that's why the availability was pushed from Thursday to Friday. So if they had their plan in place in theory on for yesterday to start getting all the things going, but then they realized the draft lottery is then, they have the Keefe induction into the Brampton Hall, whatever it was, Hall of Fame. Now they push it to Friday so they can kind of figure everything out today and tomorrow, maybe even fire Keefe tomorrow, and then on Friday they'll be able to, whether they bring a new coach in or not, they'll be having more. I mean, they're going to be asked pretty tough questions on Friday about the future of the organization, about Sheldon Keefe. I mean, if Sheldon Keefe isn't fired ahead of Friday, they're going to ask, is his future certain with Toronto? And they'll probably just give a blanket statement like, no, I don't know yet, whatever. But that's why it was pushed to Friday, was because of all these things that were interfering. Again, you said it, Leafs news is it's going to be the highlight of the day, no matter how much other things are going on with the draft lottery and whatnot. So it's pretty big. And you can see here there's some other things that we're going to probably break into another video fully. But Keefe is likely out, according to Sheldon Keefe, which is a little bit interesting. And that Shanahan may be out as well, but won't be replaced by anyone.
No, and I think the one thing, my read on this too, from everything we've seen so far this morning and the last couple of days, is if there is no announcement of Sheldon Keefe being fired tomorrow, based on what we know about their meeting today, and they pushed back the meeting so they had time. And obviously, I like the fact that they didn't announce it yesterday, especially because I didn't know Sheldon Keefe was being inducted yesterday to Brampton Sports Hall of Fame. So to be fired earlier in the morning and then have to do that would not be great. So good on the Leafs organization for at least that. That's very respectful, and I like that. But my read on everything is if Sheldon Keefe is not fired tomorrow, you cannot go into Friday's press conference with management saying, we don't know yet. You can't do that, right? So if he's not fired tomorrow, he is back as head coach, because you cannot, absolutely not go into Friday's media availability press conference with management and say, we don't have a decision yet. You cannot, because you know what's happening. So it's either they're meeting today. So it's either you know what's going on or you don't. Right. And you have to have a decision made for Friday to announce what's going on, because if there is no firing tomorrow, the question is going to be, he's returning then, right? And if you say, I don't know, I think that's unacceptable at that media availability. So the next 48 hours are going to be very interesting for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because silence is going to speak louder than words, I think, over the next 2 days, because if we don't hear anything about a firing, that means he's probably back next year. So yeah, I just don't think they can go into Friday without a decision. That would be absurd.
You're scaring a lot of Leafs fans with your words right now. But this is something else from Beyond the Six, what they said. He basically said on his 32 Thoughts podcast, reports today that his meeting with the Leafs is expected they're going to finalize and discuss what they're doing. If I were to guess, expect some news in the next 24 hours prior to Pelly Shanny and Treliving presser on Monday. I mean, the most likely outcome, it seems like right now, is that we have a pretty quiet news day the rest of the day today, if you're watching it on Wednesday, May 8th, and then tomorrow, someone leaks it. Maybe it's Friedman that Shanahan, he's probably staying, but that Sheldon Keefe, is gone. And then they move on Friday with the plan going forward. I think at this point, it seems very likely that Shanahan stays. I don't know if he stays in the same role. He might stay as a different thing. I highly doubt that they're meeting on Friday now. The more I've thought about it, is going to be him saying he doesn't want to be here anymore. It just doesn't feel like that's
very
the vibe.
Unlikely.
It seems like the vibe is now, maybe they're preparing to go forward without Keefe. Maybe they announce their new coach, or maybe they announce that Sheldon Keefe is fired and they're commencing their new coach search with some, Craig Berube, whoever ends up being. But it definitely seems like the climax of all this, the tipping point, is going to be in the next literal 24 hours.
Yeah, and listen, we love to keep everyone on the channel, and thanks for subscribing and everything. We love to keep you guys informed. So what I'm going to say, and again, it's just an assumption I'm making, if Sheldon Keefe is not announced as being fired tomorrow, which is Thursday at this point, he is staying, because there's no way they go into this press conference Friday. Yeah, there is no way they go into Friday without a decision made to announce in so long. Yeah, there's no way they go into Friday without a decision made. It would just be, I think it would be super irresponsible, and not only for them, for Sheldon Keefe too, to leave him hanging in the wind like that. I think it would be very irresponsible. And I think Friday they have to come out in front of everyone, because like you said, it's seeming very unlikely, based on the fact that they've named who's going to be at this media conference, that Brendan Shanahan will be fired or let go or whatever that is. I believe he's going to probably move to a different role. They're going to make a new role for him or something, or maybe he moves up within MLSE. I could see that happening. And then obviously it's a direct streamline between Keith Pelly and Brad Treliving for the on-ice moves, which I think is the way they absolutely should go. So if that's the case, I think that's fine, actually. But there has to be some change. There has to be movement. So Friday, you got to have your decisions made. You got to tell everyone what the plan is going forward, because if you don't, people are going to be mad, and rightfully so.
Yep, it seems like so long to Keith. Most likely tomorrow. But we'll have you updated on all that. We're going to get this out now. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Maybe even turn the notifications on, because there's a lot going to be coming out over the next 24 hours.